Hi guys, welcome back to iLuminate once again. As you know, this month's issue is on the topic of purity. And you may kind of wonder, okay, Johnny, you're a counselor, what does this have to do with counseling, this issue of purity? But I'll tell you, it has a lot to do with the work that I do here in my office as a professional counselor. And for me, there's really two big areas that I see purity coming into play. And when Joe talked to me and said, hey, that's what this issue is going to be about, he said, I don't know if you can tie it in. Immediately these things jumped into my mind. One of the first things, though, that I deal with in my office is the issue of pornography. I'm a certified sex addiction therapist, which means I work with people who have become addicted to certain sexual behaviors to the point that it interferes with every part of their life. And the number one thing that I see in my office and working in that arena is people who have become addicted to pornography. Yes, you can become addicted to pornography and other sexual behaviors. And what happens is that those behaviors take over the brain so much that a person is unable to function normally in their life without the use of those things, or it interferes with how they think and how they work with other people. And so pornography just really grabs a hold of the person's brain and affects every part of their life. And so they have to come and see me now as a professional counselor with that specialized training to help them deal, because that they kept putting these impure thoughts, these impure pictures into their mind. And, you know, Scripture talks about that in Philippians 4:8. Whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is noble, whatever is honorable, whatever is of good repute, think on these things. In other words, put good things in, because what you put in is what's going to come out. There's an old computer term way back in the dinosaur days of when I was taking my computer classes called GIGO, G-I-G-O. And it stands for garbage in, garbage out. In other words, if you type in a bunch of garbage when you're programming the computer, that's what you're going to get. Your program is not going to work properly. But I'm going to tell you that this concept of GIGO, garbage in, garbage out, is very, very true for your mind. What you put in is going to come out in some way, shape, form, or fashion. The things you put into your mind, if you're putting in impure images, impure movies, impure music, impure words, impure thoughts, that's going to come out in the way that you act, in the way that you speak, in the things that you do, and can really take over your entire life. There's a whole realm of literature within both the medical and the psychological research out there right now where we have young men 18 to 26 who are unable to be sexually active with their spouse, with their wife, without the use of pornography. Their brain has become so addicted to pornography that they cannot function normally sexually, even with their own wife, without the use of pornography. There's a reason that God said remain pure. There's a reason God said think on those sorts of things, because what they do to your brain is so, so powerful. And that kind of really leads me to the second area that I work with here in my office, and that's the issue of guilt. Guilt and shame I see almost on a daily basis. As people come to me and we start talking and start working through what's going on in their life and why they're so depressed or why they're so anxious or why they're having all these issues, and over and over and over, it ties back to something in their past, something that they did, something that occurred that they feel guilt and they feel shame about. And many, many times it ties back to something related to this issue of purity. Perhaps they were sexually impure and still carry that guilt and shame with them 20, 30 years later. And again, it affects their marriage, it affects their relationships, it affects their life because of some impure actions that they did sometimes many, many years ago. And guilt and shame are different, and we're not going to get into that for the topic of this particular recording, but they often go hand in hand. And it's because of the poor decisions and not choosing to remain pure, because what you do now is going to stay with you. You carry that memory, you carry those effects from now on for the rest of your life, whether you remain pure or not. You'll carry the good consequences of the good decisions, and you're going to carry the bad consequences of bad decisions, regardless of which you choose. And it's going to affect you one way or the other. It will affect you mentally, it will affect you emotionally, it may even affect you physically. As oftentimes many of my clients have physical problems because of the intense guilt and shame that they have carried for many, many years in their body. So purity is very, very related to this issue of counseling that I do, because of how what you do, what you think, what you look at affects your mind, which affects everything else in your life. Let me encourage you, please remain pure. I know it's hard in this day and time. You're surrounded by impurity everywhere. But there's a reason that God said what he did there in Philippians 4:8. Whatever is pure, that's where he starts. Whatever is pure, think on these things. Garbage in, garbage out. But I can also tell you goodness in equals goodness out. Remain pure, put the good in your life, put the good in your mind. You'll be amazed how God will bless you for it. Until next month, we'll talk to you later. May God bless you.